Okay, first of all, Kenyans listening to me should know that Article 88 of the Constitution gives the IEBC the sole power to delimit or amend the boundaries of the Constitution. Then Article 89 of the Constitution also says that the numbers of constituencies are fixed at 290. And we cannot increase to 291 or reduce to 289 or whatever. But you can vary the boundaries, okay? Now, there are factors that must be taken into account when you are varying the boundaries, like the population, community of interests, what Mheshimiwa was talking about, where the communities are located. You know, you must take care of the topography of the area. You must take care of, you must consider the means of communication. All these factors, IEBC is supposed to look at them when they are considering variation of the fixed number of 290 constituencies. Now, first of all, we must accept that time is not there for us to do this, because whenever you start constituency, delimitation of wards, delimitation of boundaries for constituencies, you create a lot of emotional issues. They arise, you know, and this becomes very, very tricky and very difficult. And those of us who went into who are, you know, lucky enough to be part of the constitutional review that gave birth to this constitution in Naivasha, will tell you, when it came to delimitation, even agreeing on the number of counties, it was a very, very trying period. It was almost a deal breaker. But, you know, I'm just putting that so that you can understand the issues around constituency or ward delimitation or review of boundaries. Now, the Supreme Court has given opinions before. For example, that we must have gender balance, you know, in a parliament that didn't have a gender balance. And the practicality of it, and it's not just the Supreme Court, but many courts, sometimes they tell you, like the CDF judgment, if you recall, they were told the CDF is illegal, you don't have the power to do it, but you have time until this time so that you can, you know, make changes. So finish the project by this time. After that, you cannot get any more allocations for CDF. So sometimes even the court is aware that due to practical realities, it is not possible to carry out some things irrespective of the orders they have given. So for the institutions that are charged with those responsibilities, like the IEBC, what I would advise them to do as a person who has been around in this space for some time is to start the processes, okay? Take that ruling of the Supreme Court and do what it can to comply, okay? And you must demonstrate to the court that we have tried to comply. How do you do that? You say, okay, we've been served with this ruling, this advisory from the Supreme Court, and this is what we are going to do. We are presenting, the budget for this is estimated as, say, 20 billion, okay, or 200 billion, whatever. We will have public participation, we will have this, we will have that. We will invite communities to give their whatever. We will have to hire people, we'll have to do this, etc., okay? So we've started to comply, okay? But then Treasury is the one that must allocate that money, okay? If the money is not allocated, they can simply go back to the Supreme Court and say, because of practical realities, we've not been able to comply with the court, but we are not in contempt. We have not said we do not want. Same thing with members of parliament, both at the National Assembly and at the Senate. I mean, the constitutional, the extension of time for the review of the delimitation of the boundaries for wards and for the constituencies can be introduced. There's no harm. I mean, even tomorrow, I can file that amendment in compliance with the Supreme Court.
Yes.
But I'll tell you, Fred, to even move 1 inch, 1 dot of the Constitution
yes.
within the Senate, it is a problem.
And that is my concern now. So that the Supreme Court has advised.
Can I finish?
That, yes.
Can I finish?
Focusing on that issue of extension.
Yes. Can I finish? When you introduce a constitutional amendment, and let's say Mungatana files that amendment tomorrow, and the processes of constitutional review are long and tiring. And even if, say, we push it to the point that we have the first reading, it still has to go to public participation and so on. It could come to second reading, and people now, maybe that will be some 6 months or 8 months down the road. 8 months down the road, I myself may not be very available in the Senate because most people will have hit the road to start looking for their re-election. So the fact of the matter is that getting that 2/3 majority to make an amendment is not an easy thing. Preparing a constitutional amendment that will mean going out to seek a referendum has both financial and political implications. It's not an easy thing. Okay. So I think what needs to be done is that the National Assembly, the clerks of both National Assembly and the Senate need to show that they are trying to comply. The IEBC, which is the central institution in this matter, needs to show that it is complying. If they have difficulties, they'll go back to the Supreme Court and explain themselves.
Do you see a risk here that failure to properly secure extension of delimitation of boundaries in the law, in the Constitution, through an amendment of the Constitution, could mean that we might have possible serious legal implications come 2027? There are some constituencies